Hi, I'm Gail Angus, Chief Operating Officer with Collaborative Learning Solutions. I'm going to be introducing our final superhero tip in preparation for our upcoming C5 Summer Institute. The event will expand more on the superhero tips we have shared and how to help students with social, emotional, and behavioral needs, especially those in self-contained classrooms. This final superhero tip is focusing on equitable system improvement, which is one of our core 5 components. Today, our focus will narrow on ensuring every student has access. As a teacher, I had the opportunity to work in both general and special education classrooms with students who faced a variety of challenges. In these programs, my goal was to make sure my students had access to the curriculum and learning environment. Some days that felt more challenging than others. That is because providing access has many meanings. There is access to the school, to the learning environment, access to the curriculum, and the ability to demonstrate knowledge and new learning. When we think of access, for many of us, the familiar picture of the students standing at the ball field comes to mind. The photo on the left has every child receiving the same size box, no matter what their needs are, better known as equal. Then the right side shows boxes distributed based on needs, which is called equitable. But I want to challenge you, because you are a superhero educator. What if we remove the barriers altogether? Let's explore what removing the barriers really means for students with a disability. I like to call it minimizing the impact of the student's disability. By definition, a disability is lifelong. It's not going away. Unfortunately, even us superheroes don't have magic powers to make it disappear. However, what we can do is figure out ways to minimize the impact of the disability. For some disabilities, this may be easier to understand because we can outwardly see them, so they are more apparent of ways to minimize the impact, and people are more intentional about providing supports. For instance, when a child has a vision problem, everyone advocates for the child to wear their glasses, or for them to have access to large print or devices to help them to access both their environment and learning. The same is true with hearing or physical disabilities. We look for equipment to minimize the impact of the disability, to make learning and the education environment accessible. We spend time teaching the student how to use the equipment, strategies, and advocate for their needs. But when the disability is more internal and maybe not as visible or obvious, the idea of minimizing the impact of the disability is harder to see, and we are less receptive to allowing the student to use tools, equipment, strategies so they can access their learning environment or their education. As an educator, your time with students is limited and valuable, and it is why we need to focus on minimizing the impact of the disability. This will give access to the curriculum, and the student will learn standards. As I stated earlier, a disability is lifelong. That means the student will live with it forever. So school is the perfect time to help a student understand how their disability impacts them when they are learning, communicating, and engaging with others. They need to know how to minimize the impact and how to advocate for what they need. And as they practice using these tools, equipment, and strategies to remove the barriers posed by their disability, they will learn because they will have access to the curriculum. Now, I need to let you in on a secret. When we discuss removing the barriers or minimizing the impact of the disability, We're saying that the child may need to do things differently than other students. It will require the adults to be flexible, to truly believe in equity. Remember, equity is giving the student what they need, not all students receiving the same. This is where the arch nemesis fixed mindset may show up, and you will need to use your superpowers, your strength, to ward them off. According to Carol Dweck, leading researcher on growth mindset, she defines fixed mindset as assuming our character, our intelligence, our creative ability are static, that we are born with them and can't change in any meaningful way. A superhero with growth mindset has hope, is ready and willing to support students through their struggle, and they know they're able to learn no matter what. No two children are the same, so we will need to look at each child individually, but we know once the impact is minimized, this child will be able to learn, even though it does not look the same as their peers. Let me share a story that demonstrates a way fixed mindset shows up. There was a student at a local high school who was enrolled in all honors and AP classes. He was the captain of both the football and basketball teams and nominated for Homecoming King. One would say he was popular and living the classic high school life. Then one tragic night during his senior year, he was in a terrible car accident that left him as a quadriplegic. Now, he's considered to have a physical disability. When it was time for him to return to school, a meeting was set up with all of his teachers and the medical team to learn what supports the young man would need. The medical doctor shared the accident affected the part of the student's nervous system that regulated body temperature. So he would need to wear a hat at all times. At that point, one of his teachers said, "Not in my class. Hats aren't allowed to be worn in this school, and if I let him wear it, it will not be fair to all the other students." The teacher had a fixed mindset and was not being flexible to do things a little different for this student, to minimize the impact of his disability so he could access his learning. Because this little change is only needed for this student, the other students would understand. We just need to let them know what is going on. We can't teach disabilities out of students. We need to teach students strategies to work around the impact. For instance, if they're unable to read science or social studies textbooks, they can listen to it. If they struggle to memorize math facts, they use a calculator to learn high-level math and science. Who knows, they possibly may be the one to discover the cure for cancer. These are just a few ways we can minimize the impact of students' disabilities. As a superhero, I'm sure you have many more. And as you work with students, always help them to see their superpowers, all that they're capable of doing once the impact of their disability is removed. Provide them with the box, or better yet, remove the barriers altogether. Share with them how their disability affects them so they use the tools, the strategies, and the devices to minimize the impact of their disability. Us superheroes need to show students how to use their own superpowers to demonstrate their knowledge. So get your superpowers ready. Protect yourself from fixed mindset by cloaking yourself in growth mindset, and go make a difference in the lives of students. On behalf of all of us at Collaborative Learning Solutions, we thank you for tuning in to this superhero tip.